Alright guys, so it's Sunday morning, just about to start packing my stuff together because I'm off to Spain. It was one of those calls last night where talking to my wife, talking about my son's birthday coming up, and I just thought I'll have a quick search on Ryanair. Oh, there's a cheap flight tomorrow, so I booked a flight. So I'm flying in tonight. So I'll be back in Spain for by 9 p.m. tonight. I'm looking forward to it because I do think I've been away too long. Work, to be fair, I'm enjoying the new company. I've got a lot of busy meetings coming up soon, but one of the key things is, well, I've got this little bit of a gap. I'm going to head home for a week, work from Spain for a week, and then I'll pick up on all my other meetings the week after because I'm already booked in Monday. I'm up in Peterborough. I think I've got Hull as well coming up. I think I may have messed that one up. I think Hull may be the week coming, so I need to contact those guys and say, can we move it a week? But can't have everything. But the work seems a lot more professional, a lot more organised. So I'm happy. I'm happy in the work. Less stressful, less headaches. If anything, it's a bit too routine for me at the minute, which I'm not grumbling about because it's giving me time to do other stuff. But now we'll get on to the stocks and shares. As you can see, we lost some money on this one, and this is a small account. I lost money on the big account as well. I lost probably about £250 in total. And a lot of people will go ha 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 because some people have that mentality. I'm more of a mindset. I didn't buy stocks and shares for today. They're ongoing investments. So when I mentioned about Astroenica, I mentioned about AstraZeneca, FISA, Eli Lilly is another one I'm interested in. They're all producers of pharmaceuticals that are required on an ongoing basis. So, for example, Eli Lilly does a lot for insulin for people with diabetes. People continue to get fatter, so their market is stable. I think it's Pfizer's got a new cancer drug, which is just being approved by the FDA, so that's an ongoing one. AstraZeneca, there's some other stuff there as well that I'm interested in. And I know some of you guys will be anti big pharma, and I get it, but this is based on business. My business model is all of these actually have dividends. All of these are shares I'm buying and not selling. Even if they have a moonshot, there's no point selling it. I might as well just keep it. So although the market's dropped by about £240, £250 on my portfolios, this has been caused by the US market because Trump and JFK Jr. have got some deals and done some stuff around the cost of medication in the US, which has obviously created a ripple effect. Now, the ripple effect will be short term anyway. Markets are reactive. They'll go sell because there's this going on without really understanding does it actually have any long-term damage, which in my personal opinion, no, I don't think it does. They may have reduced the cost of medication, but the population growth is there. How many TV shows and stuff do they talk about people being not able to afford medication? Too many. That's too many. So the reduction in the cost will actually more likely lead to more production, not less, which means more people will be using the same medication, so the offset of the pricing should, in theory, balance out over time. So, as you can see, on my downward spiral, well, let's hope it's not spiral, the downward trend on Friday, I booked my flight to go to Spain, because this is the other key to this, is you don't overinvest, don't invest what you can afford to lose. I still own those stocks. They've reduced in value. That's it. Doesn't mean that I've lost them. If anything, it means I'm holding on to stocks that have devalued. they're going to increase. The businesses themselves are cutting edge in their own industries. They're not stagnant enterprises. So the fact is, you never know what's in the pipeline. So there could be suddenly a new drug for something else. I think I heard something yesterday about, was it the mole rat, or they're supposed to have like the elixir, the secret of life, because they live to about 40 odd years, and there's some sort of discovery going on there like that. It's just something. It's how many of these random things, well, they seem random, they're obviously searching out, that people find, and then it becomes something. You know, you look at the Viagra, where it took Pfizer from here to here. The point being is, unless they're one hit in business, that will cause it to devalue. But the reality is, like your Coca-Colas and your Pepsis, your McDonald's and whatever, they're still producing, they're still selling a ridiculous amount, and they're still capable of evolving. So it's not like they just stick with their original business model. They develop new products, they move a little bit, they find other avenues to generate profits. I mean, my personal view on soft drinks is up to the individuals. I'm not for people being told what they should have and should not have. Now, if you ask me, when did I last have a Coca-Cola, I can honestly say I don't actually know. I mainly drink tea, coffee, orange juice, and coconut water. I can't even remember the last time I bought fizzy drinks, even for somebody else. I really don't know. But it doesn't mean that industry's dead. It means that my habits have changed. It means many habits have changed, but there is still a market for it. So yeah, so even the older firms, there is a market there. They've been around forever, and they will evolve because they've got the money to evolve. They'll find a new market, or create a market, or create a product. I can't see them dying out. It's not like, say, a brand in the sense of Nike or Adidas or Fila or something, because they're all very similar. All it is a little badge, because you could change the logos on their clothes and you probably wouldn't be able to tell the difference between them. I get the Adidas stripes, pretty obvious one, but what I'm saying is, a shirt's a shirt. So they're more at risk because theirs is purely reputation. That's why your Air Jordans were a big thing, because the PR was massive on it to push the hammer at home, because it is PR, solely PR, because the products themselves are okay, but quality between them, not a lot in it. Is make it as cheap as possible with a reasonable quality, and sell for the highest price possible. That's it. Other industries aren't like that. Other industries, it doesn't work that way. So yeah, I just want to do that today. So I'm back to Spain tonight. Just having my second coffee for the day. I wrote some of these things down. Should we go over some of these while I'm sat here? Because I was listening to something the other day, and I wrote down some of the quotes that come off it, because it says it but not explains it. So most friendships die once you stop becoming useful. The answer to that is yeah. I find it, especially in the UK, I find that very true. Fair weather friends are 10 a penny. But I've got very few friends, or people I classify as friends anyway, because I'm quite selective. But also, I recognise when people just use people, and they may not even see that they're doing it. But when they come back, because they'll do things like, Matt, do you know where I could get this? And it will be a bit of information for something, and I send them a copy or whatever. No thanks. Don't hear from them for another year. Then next time, oh Matt, do you know if there's any jobs going? It's like, no, because people use people. The other thing with that though is stop being a whinger. A lot of people out there constantly moan. Now, I've had some issues work-wise in recent years, and to be fair, the people that we sort of talk to each other, and I was the last person there, so everyone else has sort of gone out now, and I've left. So it's like this week, 3 people have already said you're completely different to the way you were, because 2 things: being stuck in the cycle with negative people makes you negative. It rubs off on you. Secondly, you influence other people, so you being negative makes them more negative, so you're both more negative. Because I'm now out of it, I just put a line on it and move on. So that's old news. But at the same time, because I'm out of it, what was dragging me down, which is the way the business is, it's not part of my life anymore, which means I've gone back to the way I normally am. When you're constantly on edge because of the way people treat you, do stuff, etc., it's not a nice place to be. But now I'm out of it, completely different. And what I've noticed as well is some of the people still carry the negative stuff, and I'm going, you're out of it. You've been out of it for 1-2 years. I've only got out of it in the last few months. As soon as I resigned, all the nonsense went with it. So bear that in mind, because being useful is not just down to the fact that you have no value to them in the sense of they want something out of it, but also if you're engaging with people, it's also not dragging the things down. So it's a two-way thing, because if you're always whinging, complaining, or just wanting stuff off people, of course that burns that relationship quite quickly. But in the same way, if people are doing it to you, recognise it, because they may be affecting you long term by that constant negativity that comes with them. Money can buy you happiness if you spend it on freedom. It can. See, because the thing is, happiness is a pursuit. It's not an achievement. You'll never reach happiness because it's a constant, it's a changing thing. Because even if you reach what you assume is happy today, you will get bored at some point. I remember having a conversation in the desert with the guys that do the catering there, and they're on about, because I thought the meals were rubbish, but like they said, well, if you give everybody lobster every day, eventually you get sick of it. But then I'm looking and going, yeah, but chicken wings and dal for breakfast, give us a break. But the point being is, if you've got too much of anything, it has a negative impact. See the freedom piece on here, this is why I like doing my stocks and shares. Because I log in daily, you can see a little bit of movement, so I sit there and think, should I put some more money in? That's the pursuit of freedom. That's heading me in the direction of happiness. So the point being is, that's something to remember, that happiness is a pursuit, freedom is the goal. Loyalty without self-respect is slavery. Now, this is two two things at once. One, where you don't respect yourself, which means other people bully you, push you over, abuse your friendship, abuse you in business because you allow them to do it. You have not set a boundary where people know they push that boundary, it coils back quite quickly. So the first thing is you not standing your ground, which means people just push and walk over you, abuse you, do what they want. And in the same way, others doing that to you because they don't respect you, which comes down to a you problem, because they don't respect you. Why? Is it like you're like me? Never have a shirt on, always wear these, because I've got about 30, 40 of these, because I do like wearing these ones. So you always look the same. Look at that scruffy get, always in the same shirts. I've just got lots of them. A lot of it is perception. A lot of it is showing you are not being intimidated or messed around with. Telling people, no, that's unacceptable. Oh, I need you to stay on tonight. Yeah, you may need me to stay on, but you're not paying for it, so no, I'm not. There you go. Straight boundary. Not sacrificing nothing. So the slavery piece comes into it because you allow people to do it to you, or you do it to yourself, and you get in a rut, and you're constantly negative, constantly complaining, but you do nothing about it. That's because your self-respect isn't there. Because if you had your self-respect, you'd do something about it. That's why I get frustrated with people that I go, oh, my life's so bad. Yeah, what are you doing about it? I don't want to hear you whining about it. I want to hear what you're doing about it. Don't mind helping you, but I'm not your therapist. And when did a therapist ever cure anybody? Get up, get off your backside and sort your life out. Moving on. Being average with confidence beats attractive with insecurity. See, the thing is, a lot of the stuff that we're dealing with, thanks to social media, it made it 10 times worse, is vain, on the surface, not genuine. See, like, I ain't got perfect teeth. These two are broken. I need to get them recapped. But at the same time, I know my teeth ain't great. And someone said, oh, your teeth ain't great. Yeah, I know that. Did you see my little heart's broken or anything? No, because it's true. Same as I ain't got any hair. Doesn't bother me. It's just life. See, that's confidence in being who you are. You know, go, oh, it's you're a fat middle-aged man. That's a whine you'll get off people that are anti passport bros and all that sort of stuff. You go, yeah, thanks. Yeah, I don't mind. Yeah, look, I wear glasses. I haven't got perfect vision. Yeah, what's your point? Because you get the things like, oh, well, you only went to Asia because you're going to get a woman in your own country. Firstly, that's not true. Because I've never been sort of single since I was probably about 15. I've always been in relationships. I've never had a shortage of access to ladies. Even now, I'd have no problem. Oh yeah, but you're overweight. It's like, stop moaning. The reality is, men can quite happily be alone. That's fact. It's often women that need companionship. If you look at the people that complain about passport bros, it's not guys, it's women. And if you understand the concept, that a lot of guys are fed up with the way women think that there's something special, you would understand why they don't want those women. And it's not them being sexist or whatever. Do you know what? It comes down to cultural. A lot of Western women culturally have changed to the point a lot of guys wouldn't date them even if they were stunning. Why? Because they don't want to. It's too much headache. That's the reality. They've overplayed the card. Now, the thing with a lot of very attractive people is they are insecure. Because a lot of the stuff they've built in their life has been based on them being put on a pedestal, either by themselves or by others. That sort of celebrates how they look, not their depth of knowledge, not the other parts of them. They're treated as if that's all they're worth. Now, don't get me wrong, I've seen it with footballers. Footballers generally annoy me. I'll go and admit that. The ego of them is just like, you're a twat. It's a kick around sport. It's not. It didn't cure cancer. It didn't bring peace to the Middle East. It's a sport. So yeah. Well, yeah. No, I'm not bitter at all. It's just that I do find the ones that I've known over the years do have this real ego thing with them, because people celebrate it and makes them worse. You know, it's, do you know who I am type thing. You're like, no idea, even when I do know, simply because I don't want to stroke their ego. Not because I don't like them, it's just that they do stuff that is just irritating. Because everything's about the persona. It's not about them as a person. Because if you ask any, pick your footballer, what's their best achievements outside football? I'm not having a jab. I'm just saying, you probably don't know. You don't know that some of them are into photography. You don't know what else they do, because it's that. So they do keep it narrow as well, because it does tie in with insecurities. Because then you've got the things like the media that want to plaster them all over the newspapers for having an affair or whatever their news is trying to do to them. So I get it, but at the same time, I'll just say, being an average person is fine. I mean, average today is such a weird thing because everyone's trying to be an individual, but by default, we end up as group as individuals. So we can't actually be an individual because we're all following similar things. It becomes evident when you look at things like protests and how many of these people that are pro these boat people coming to the UK, and you look, they normally got round glasses, middle-aged women, then you've got a mix of green hair, pink hair, and all that sort of stuff mixed amongst them. These people will see themselves as individuals, but you can sit there and go, there's 20 of them, 10 of them, 20 of them, because they're stereotypical. Unfortunately, being an individual is very difficult because we all sit in our own groupings. Anyway, we'll move on from that one. Modern workplace is obedience, not wealth. That's been an ongoing thing anyway. That's not new. A lot of the stuff that you have out there is to keep you locked in and keep you busy. The focus is not about you generating wealth. And I think he meant on that comment compared to saying a family-owned business. Because a family-owned business, you develop it, you evolve it as a family. Where being an employee, you're working for the business, you're not working for you. You're not developing yourself, you're developing for the business. So even your training is around the business. So this is why the wealth generation is things like doing your stocks and shares, having work outside of work that you do on the side, because it's like side hustles have become a bigger thing. The weird thing is, I've always done side hustles since I was a kid. So, people try and make it a big thing now, and I'm like, I've always done that. Even when I was at school, I used to go up to Birmingham for floppy disks, because there was a shop just outside the Bullring that sold floppy disks at, I think they were 25 pence each. But the market in Worcester at the time, because there was a shortage, was £1 per floppy disk. So every Saturday I'd get on the train, go up there, buy them, take them to school on Monday, sold them all Monday, every single week. So I think a lot of that is not to be too negative on the modern workplace, because modern workplace is based on a function. The function is to carry out the work that they want. The obedience stuff, though, is the team building events, the away days, the corporate functions, unpaid activities, the corporate picnic. Me, I don't do the events. I don't like them. And it's not me being negative, it's just that my time's my time. I'm not interested in moving up a corporate ladder anymore. Years ago, I'd have done it just to get ahead. I don't need to get ahead anymore. So the obedience stuff is when you actually put yourself out and just do what you have to do. But the problem I've noticed more recently, that message and development worked 20 years ago. These days, they just use and abuse. They don't care. Before, it used to be you put the time in and you work your way up. These days, not so much. Therapy won't fix you. Discipline and purpose can. 100%. I keep seeing things where people say, to therapists, how many people have you cured? And the answer is none. Because you can't. Because, quite simply, a lot of it's mindset. It's like I've got some of my friends that are overweight. I've managed to get them to drop weight just by spending time with them, and then they drop straight back to their own habits as soon as I'm not popping by every week. Why? Because they lack the discipline. See me? I put my weight on, but to be fair, I sprained my ankle 2 weeks ago, so I ain't been able to walk, never mind run. So I'll be back on that treadmill yet again in a week's time. Well, to be fair, I've got a treadmill in Spain, so that's coming out when I get home. But it's discipline and mindset. It's also removing victimhood. It's okay to be a victim. It's not okay to let it rule your life. You can have problems go on, you can have things happen to you, you can lose all your wealth, whatever, but you wallow in it, you're only damaging yourself and the people around you. You need to be proactively changing. So part of that for me is the wealth management thing, because bear in mind, I was overseas for about 12 years, so my pension was behind on that side because I was overseas for 12 years. Now on the plus side, we've got property in the Philippines we could sell up. At the same time, I'm looking and thinking I need to generate somewhere between $250,000 and $500,000 before I retire. Now pension contributions will probably grow at 10 to 12 grand a year. If I get my bonus pay, that's going straight into the investments now. I'm not taking I'm going to get myself a new car. Nah, it's all bang, bang, bang. stack the cash, stack it early, stack it high, and get the investments churning in the money. Because once the snowball effect happens, it makes it easier on you. Like I was saying with my Vanguard fund, that's generating a few £1,000s a year by itself now. Even though investing nothing else now, it's still generating a couple of thousand a year on its own. That's got to get to, there's another zero on the end. So the point being is, it's all about moving forward, which ties in with the discipline. Discipline is putting your money aside. Discipline is investing in yourself. Discipline is maintaining your diet, maintaining your health, looking after yourself, developing your education, developing hobbies as well. Because one of the worst things people have is a lack of stuff to do in a positive way. Because one of the biggest things I see with retirees is they get drunk. Why? Because they plan stuff and then something goes wrong, or they have no hobbies. They've got nothing to keep occupied. You've got to be occupied all the time. Don't assume just sitting by the beach is going to be the be all and end all. It's not. It's not a good scenario at all. Being nice is the quickest way to disrespect. I would say this goes two ways. Being nice is fine, but you've got to respect your boundaries and other people's. Because I've got to admit, some overly nice people I find irritating, but at the same time, they're not doing anything malice or to harm. It's just the way they are. So I don't hold that against them. It's not like I'm going to go, well, that I know that idiot will work on Friday just because I'll say, oh, I've had something come up, can you cover this for me? Knowing that they'll do it. A, that's not me, but B, it is what some other people are like. So you've got to understand, being nice all the time, set your boundaries. Being polite, being nice that way is one thing. People getting you to do their overtime and stuff is another. You know, that's not nice. That's being taken for a twat. But also I've seen it when I've helped people as well, because in the Philippines, you help people, and I work on the basis I'll help because I want to help. As soon as people start expecting it, I stop. Because charity and NGOs, all this crap that's littered all over Africa and whatever, they haven't changed nothing. They keep talking about it, but even Mr. Beast seemed to have done more there in those countries, and then it upset the apple cart because we realised how it's nothing but corruption. My point being is, if you do it, you know, you could do it as a gesture. It's fine. If people start expecting every week, stop doing it. Other people's burdens aren't yours. Don't make them yours. There's nothing stopping people sorting their own crap out. This is why one of my arguments on a lot of the stuff that goes on in the Middle East, in all these charities that aren't real charities, they're parasitical in many ways. They've kept people in poverty. They've kept people away from their own locations. Oh yeah, but the war. Do you know what? If you stop the feeding and you stop creating these false camps which constantly need fed, people eventually go home and they go back to their own regions and things settle down and the world moves on. There's a lot of damage done by people pretending they're helping, or they assume they're helping, but they don't do consequence very well. CDO, I remember in the Philippines, where there was a lot of flooding, and the charities set up a camp, houses, tents and all that sort of nonsense. And then they left. A landowner was stuck with all these squatters on his land because they didn't arrange it with the landowner. A lot of people were there. They had lost their livelihood and income because they were moved there as a bit of sanctuary, but nobody moved them back. So all their businesses and enterprise and stuff they were doing is all gone. And to the point, some of these people called it a day in a bad way. They literally gave up. So, NGOs don't have consequences. Governments do. NGOs are non-government organisation, by the way. They're all like, we're happy clappy, we fix everything, and then if it doesn't work, we just go away. It doesn't matter. I'll write a report on it, but we're not actually responsible to anybody. Governments have to take on responsibility. So I wonder why there's so many NGOs. Anyway, how do we get on to that from about disrespect and being nice? Well, to be fair, that charity piece is what they play on you. A lot of people will use that rather than deal with the problem. So this is why you being nice is often used against you. I was in a conversation with somebody the other day about the people in Gaza, and I was saying they've been on the drip since 1948, maybe even older. It's not fixed nothing. Switch off the money, switch off all the aid. They were there before the aid was. They will sort themselves out. It's alright to say, here, there's 6 months. After that, there's nothing. They'll sort it out. It's almost like they're gravy trains. But being nice is the fastest way to disrespect, because the viewpoint of the individual I was talking to was, well, we've got to do something. No, you don't. It's none of your business. You're a bit arrogant to assume that you should be involved in other people's affairs. Leave it alone. And I see now in the Philippines as well, these people who actually think they're helping, whatever, they make things worse. They often do make it worse, because the corruption is the biggest problem. Not people's ability to build, not people's ability to feed themselves, not the ability, it's the interference and the corruption. Interference by people think they're do-gooders, when they often make it worse, and the political corruption. Solve the corruption, the rest will sort itself out. That's it. Any of the countries that have got these big problems, their number one problem is always corruption. Moving on. Used to be civil war in the old days, but if you can conquer the corruption, you can solve most things. And that's those for today, to be fair. We got through a few. But yeah, I thought I'd do a bit more of a video today, because I'm going to have my second coffee in a minute, and I'm going to get ready for the airport. Enjoy the weekend, guys.